Oh, snap. Isn't that what the kids used to say? I don't know. I'm an old fart. This is the Snap by Sencut. Comes in this wood, or you can get it in 3 colors of G10 natural, G10 black, or a burgundy. And that was Bandit who just sneezed underneath this table. Now, those of you who watched my previous video know that this pen, I got this from a guy named Brian Taylor from Eastern Canada. He's making these pens to give away to people who are supporting Ukrainian refugees. Watch that video for all the details. Any donation of $50 or more, and as long as you're willing to show your receipt to Brian, he's then going to make and send you a pen. If you're in Canada, that's all that it takes. If you're outside of Canada, he might ask for a few bucks for shipping. Well, he might not. I don't know. It's up to him. It all depends on how much support comes in, I guess, and how much money he has. You know, if 5 million people ask for these, you know, that could start getting expensive for shipping. So I doubt it's going to be 5 million, but I hope it's at least a bunch. So check that out. An opportunity to get something as you give something, and when you do your taxes, you'll get something back again. Now, for this knife. Sencut, they've been around for a while. I'm liking most of what they're putting out, maybe all of what they're putting out. I like the Snap especially because it's a really nice blade shape, and I'm a big fan of wood. They call this SCRWDRIVERS, or I don't know how they say it. In most places, they don't spell it the same way as Sencut does. In fact, most of the Chinese companies spell it. The name of this wood starts with a C. Everywhere else, it starts with a G, GERMAN. And it's also known as Babinga, African rosewood. So I'm just going to call it Babinga for this video. It's a beautiful, let's get it to focus, come focus. It's a beautiful, rich rosewood that I'm really, really happy with. Rosewood tends to be fairly dense, a little bit oily, and that helps it hold up. It helps it be strong and durable kind of wood. And the blade shape, I like this modern Bowie style clip point blade. We've got a high flat grind, 9C 18 MOV stainless steel with a gray wash on it, and it's a liner lock. Do you want to get to the tabletop and take a close look? I do. Keep watching. So let's start off with a size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. Very similar in size. I've lined up the pivot pins, and the length quite similar. It's a little bit smaller than the Rat 1. Let's take a close look at this blade. We've got a fairly straight spine here, a little bit of jimping on it, which is good for your thumb rest. There's a nice swedge here with this clip point, and the clip goes almost to the tip. Got a nice belly and a long straight section. This is an efficient blade for ODYSEE use. Just about anything you want to do, this knife is set up for it. It's good for piercing, puncturing, stabbing, whatever you want to call that. It's a good slicer. It's a good cutter because they've ground this blade very, very well. The shoulder, the bevel here doesn't come all the way to the spine, but pretty close. There's a nice big shoulder here or flat spot. If you've one of those guys that uses a guided sharpening system, or gals, of course, you can clamp it on easily. And to sharpen it, it's a pretty good blade. Now, I like how thin it is behind the grind all the way along the edge. This tip is a little bit thinner than some. It's definitely not a knife that you're going to be plunging into something hard and then prying it. You might ask that blade to do a little bit more than it can do. 9C 18 MOV is a pretty good steel, but it is a budget steel. So don't ask too much of it. It can do an awful lot, but too much is always too much of anything, isn't it? Sharpener's choil here is just the right size. It's big enough that it ends after the plunge ends, so it's not getting, you know, a wider grind here at the heel of the blade like a lot of knives do. If the plunge is already coming up, then they get wide there, and it's easy to make it look bad when you go to sharpen it. No, this one's done much better than a lot. In fact, The sharpening of this blade is better than average as well. They've done a pretty good job sharpening this compared to what other people do. There's a little bit of a shoulder chamfer up there. The jimping is well done for aggressive enough to be a good grip on your thumb, and it's big enough and long enough. I like that. The flipper, it's got jimping up the front and on the top, so it's really easy to use. Flip that blade out, no problem at all. It's easy to get your finger in there. Light switch method or pushing off to the side. The jimping's just right so that it's easy to do and actuate. I really like that an awful lot. Badging on the flipper right there, it says 9CR18 MOV. And then we've got Sencut up there on the flat, and that's all you're going to find on this knife. Very well done, Sencut. For those of you who aren't aware, Civivi and WE, those are the parent companies for Sencut. They're all owned by the same people. You know, Sencut's run totally separately as a separate business, but you can tell that the quality here is from, you know, that same company. You get the same kind of ethos there, the same kind of desire to make good products in a good way using good materials. So very happy about that. I'll tear it down and show you the pivot on the inside. Good action. We've got a lockup there that is nice. I like that lockup. It's pretty much where I like to see a brand new knife. It's fully engaged so that it's safe and secure, and yet there's room for it to wear over time. We don't have a huge cutaway here to get access to the lock release, but the lock arm does sit a little bit proud, and there's a little bit of jimping on the side of it. Very easy, as you saw when I was flipping it open and closed, you know, to get your thumb in there to close, disengage that lock to close the knife. Easily done. So very happy with that as well. And these liners are very skeletonized. They're slightly rounded at the edges. The wood handle scales are just very slightly inset so that the liners are just exposed a little bit. And this beautiful, rich, dark wood, we've got a chamfer all the way around it. You can tell that it's just been machined with some really sharp tools. So you can see some of the machining lines there, so it wasn't sanded afterwards. If you want to, you take these handle scales off and you nicely sand that chamfering so that you can get those tool marks off of that. Just make sure you don't change the dimensions, because that might not look very good. T8 screws here on the pivot, T8 screws on the body here. We do have an extra hole there, meaning you can put this pocket clip on the other side if you want to, and it's a nice pocket clip. I like the length of it. It's really well done for this knife. We do have T6 flush screws right there for the pocket clip, so be careful when you take this apart, because you don't want to strip out those screws, because there's not a lot of meat there for your screwdriver to catch onto for those. I will take it apart and show you that in a little while, but that pocket clip's quite nice, flat on the top. Let's take a look at how well it goes into a pocket and how that looks. Climbs over nicely, full depth, and the knife hides in your pocket. Quite nice indeed. I'm very happy with that pocket clip. It could be a little smaller this way. Now, Sencut makes them a little smaller this way than Civivi does already, so it's a step in the right direction, but they could go even a little bit more smaller this way, because most pants have no problem fitting in there. With those flush screws, there's lots of room in there. How did they assemble it? Well, you can see those hourglass-shaped pins there, very nicely, slightly polished, and a lanyard pin right there. I really like that, because when you've got it in your hand and you're using the knife, the lanyard just comes out the back and it doesn't bunch up on the outside, and there's no big hole there. So that's my favorite way for a lanyard to be put onto a knife. Don't mind that at all. I like that quite a lot. So there's a lot of good things going for this knife. Comfort in hand, very good. It doesn't excel, but it's very good. Just about any grip that you want to grip this knife in is quite comfortable. Let's take it apart and show you how it's constructed. Does it have a D-shaped pin? Why are there two heads here? Let's find out. Am I going to need two screwdrivers? This is literally the first time I'm taking this apart. Yeah, no problem. I can take that screw out and it's not spinning there. So that's good. I'll take out this T8 screw here as well. while it's loose, I'll pull it out later on. And let's take off this T6 right here, being very careful. Oh, that's nicely done. There we go. We've got really nice ceramic ball bearings in there. We've got lots of skeletonizing here. Even the lock side's got lots of skeletonizing on it. So well done. That really helps with the weight. Oh, I didn't show you the balance point. I keep forgetting to show you the balance point at the beginning. And there's those screws. And let's see if this thing could spin if it wanted to. Yes, the pin could spin. This is a free spinning pivot pin. It didn't spin on me, as you saw, but it certainly could. You might need 2 screwdrivers. Oh, there's some of my skin residue from the testing that I did. I should wipe that off of there. Clean that look up a little bit. So I would prefer a D-shaped pivot pin, or at least engaged with a D there. But certainly not bad at all. Nice, good quality screws. Well made. I'll put it back together off camera. Now for the few things that I forgot to tell you before. There is no blade play side to side, up and down. There wasn't before, and there isn't now. The alignment, that's right down the middle. And the balance point is right there. The weight of this thing, 99 grams, 3.5 ounces. Not bad at all. The sharpness from the factory, we got 195 bests. That's only slightly worse than average, but not bad at all. Anything under 200 I consider quite good. The cutting edge length is 89.8 millimeters, 3.54 inches. The blade length tipped to the closest spot on the liner there, because the liner's a little bit proud. 88.2 millimeters, 3.47. So yeah, a 3.5 inch blade. The thickness of the blade, 2.95 millimeters, 0.116 of an inch. So just slightly under 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, it's actually biggest just a little bit before the clip point starts. 26.8 millimeters, 1.055 inches. How thick is it behind the grind? Measured in 3 places and averaged out 0.39 millimeters, 15.5 thousandths of an inch. Yes, that really helps. The sharpening on this, the grind angles, this side, it's got an average of 21.9 degrees. This side's got an average of 24.4 degrees. But they did a pretty consistent job. Like this one started at 24.9 and ended at 24.3. This one's got a little bit more change. It started at about 22.7, 20.7, 22.2. At the heel here, yeah, they messed up a little bit, 27.5. Just on the last 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch right there. Which happens because they're hand sharpening. They're holding, 10 knives in their hand at one time and sharpening. This is actually better than average. Handle length is 118.3 millimeters, 4.66 inches. The grip area here is about 9.5 centimeters, about 3 3/4 inches. The thickness of the handle, not counting the pocket clip, 12.02 millimeters, 0.473 of an inch. Not bad. The handle depth, the widest point within the grip area is right here before the end, 25 millimeters, 0.984 of an inch. When the knife is closed, the widest point is not here, it's right there. 32.1 millimeters, 1.26 inches. The total length of this knife from tip to tail, 206 millimeters, 8.11 inches. I'm so happy I got this wooden version. The wood is flawless. There's no mistakes. There's no little voids. There's no cracks or chips. Yeah, like I said, you can see a little bit machining lines around that edge there, but that's not a big concern to me. Not at all. I'm probably keeping all these Sencut knives that I review because I'm just liking the brand that much. I like this nice gray wash, the blade shape, beautiful. How thin it is behind the grind. I can put my own edge on here, a nice beautiful mirror edge on here, and that'll be just fine. Like I said, the grip, really nice, and the blade shape, very useful. This is a good knife. I totally recommend it. How much does it cost? I haven't talked about that yet. The wood version, $49.99 American at Sencut Knives. I've got a referral code. Check out my link down below, the referral code, because you can save 5%. That makes it $47.49. $47.50, not bad at all. That's about 61 Canadian. They do free shipping to the United States, so that's quite nice. So if you're in the market for a knife and you like wood, if you like G10, sure. But especially if you like wood, under 50 bucks for a nice, good-looking knife with a great blade shape. Very useful. I'm a big fan of the snap. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube member supporters. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all that you do for me. Every little bit of support really does help. For those of you who are aware, I don't need to tell you, but for those of you who are not aware, I'm going to Blade Show. Yes, the owner of Gritomatic.com, the ultimate place to find all of your sharpening products and resources. He's invited me to come to Blade Show. I'm volunteering at his booth a little bit, and I'm also going to be able to go see some of the other stuff. I won't be able to make a bunch of videos about Blade Show, certainly not while I'm there because I'm going to be busy with the Gritomatic table, but I will record some things and post them after the sale. Maybe I'll post a few things during the sale. We'll just have to wait and see. If you live in the Atlanta area or are going to Atlanta for Blade Show, I would love to see you there. I've ordered some t-shirts, so hopefully you'll see me with a t-shirt on and the letters, my logo on it, CCE. Hopefully you'll see me there. If I'm not at the Gritomatic table, I'll be wandering around the show. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.